Well, they say don't mess with Texas. Apparently, Mexico did not get the memo. It is reportedly upset with Governor Rick Perry's plan to put National Guard troops on the border. To Sheriff Joe Arpaio says Mexico should be the ones worrying about its own border. Sheriff, good to have you back. Well, they are really upset. In fact, they're seething about it, and they think this is poor form. What do you think of that, Sheriff?
Well, first of all, the National Guard, they're not going there with machine guns. It's a support type of operation that Governor Perry has the courage to do. We should be across the border. You know, Neil, I told you before, when I was there as head of the DEA in Mexico City, we worked with the Army and the federales hand in hand and made arrests, made drug seizures, sometimes gun battles. We were always operational. So why can't we send the Border Patrol or the military across the border to work in a bilateral situation? I can't understand why they are afraid of the National Guard in the United States at the border. It doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. They don't like anything we're doing here. The president, I heard, is going to welcome 3 of the Central American countries' presidents Friday. Now, why doesn't he have a summit meeting in Mexico, where Mexico is the most critical country regarding all of this? Why we always leave Mexico out? Why isn't the Mexican president invited to the White House also?
Maybe he wasn't invited. So let me ask you, though, Sheriff, we did try to get reaction from Mexico or any kind of a statement. We got this from their Foreign Relations Department. Attention to the immigration phenomenon must be paid from a long-term regional perspective and based on principles of good neighborliness and shared responsibility. What they seem to be saying is we're not being neighborly. You say what?
Well, you know what? If they were neighborly, they would do something in Mexico and crack down on the drug traffic and illegal immigration instead of criticizing our country all the time. If you want to be a good neighbor, that's what you do. I'm not criticizing Mexico in a sense, but there's something fishy going on with this administration in bed with Mexico. It's important economically and so on. But why don't we take away some of their foreign aid to take up that, what, 3.7 billion or million, whatever he wants, and take away foreign aid from Mexico, Central America, help them pay for our operation. That's good neighbors.
But what are we going to do with these National Guard troops? I know they're not in your border, but the argument against sending them, Sheriff, was that they would take a hot situation and make it even hotter, and that even though they can't apprehend illegals per se, their very presence could complicate things. What do you make of that?
What complication? You know, I have thousands of posse members. In fact, I'm 30 miles from the border. If I was at the border, you see my posse out there. But well,
then what would you expect? I'm sorry, Sheriff. Then what would you expect the National Guard troops to do? What are they going to do there?
Well, as far as, you know, the National Guard, they're going to have bullets. What they do is be rubber bullets. They'll be, you know, on a situation where it could relieve some of the administrative work by the Border Patrol. But they're not going to go around there locking people up. First of all, they don't have the authority to do that. They're just assisting, just like my posse assists my people, my deputy sheriff. So why is Mexico concerned about the National Guard? They ought to be happy. As I said, they should say, come on, National Guard or military, come across the border and help us out, instead of criticizing our operations.
Sure. Thank you very, very much. We'll keep pace of all of this. In the meantime, just bringing you folks at home up to date on the FAA continued ban on air travel in and out of Israel. That is for American carriers. That did not stop one Michael Bloomberg from taking the Israeli carrier El Al. He is in Israel, says that this is all an overreaction of what our government is advising regarding travel in Israel, and he is next.